John aka Chicken Fillets here, and it's time once again for another Remembering episode. This series, well, I remember about a game or a console which I've been doing recently. Now, if this is your first time listening to one of the Remembering episodes, how we do this, it's done in a one-shot, one-take format. So if there's spoilers, if there's mistakes, well, yeah, you've been warned. Now, today we are going to talk about the PS Vita, one of my all-time favourite handheld consoles, gaming consoles in general. But before we begin, I'll lay out how we do this. So, I'll talk about how I got into the PS Vita, my thoughts about my time with the PS Vita, and then the future of the PS Vita. Now, before we get cracking on, if you like hearing about JRPGs, PS Vitas, I like hearing a wee Scottish guy talk about it, please help me grow this channel by liking, sharing and subscribing. You know, the usual YouTube content creator guff that we all come out with. So anyway, let's talk about the PS Vita. So, for those unaware, the PS Vita is one of the handhelds which were released by Sony. It was the successor to the PSP, which we know for a fact that the PSP was way more successful than the PS Vita, because the PS Vita just kind of got lumped and left alone by Sony. So, as I mentioned, let's talk about how I got into said system. So, this was around about the time I started getting back into JRPGs. Now, getting into handhelds fully was down to the PSP. I remember with that I played Crisis Core on the PSP, and then I played Final Fantasy VII. I uploaded a few of my PS1 games onto there. So, I started looking into the Vita because, you know, in my travels, going in past game shops, etc., I had seen a stand showing off the PS Vita. Now, I remember specifically in town where I am, one of the game stores had a standee of a PS Vita, and it had Gravity Rush as a demo. And I remember quickly trying it and thought, oh, that's neat. It's a PSP with a second joystick, and never thought about it, you know. But once I started getting fully into it, now the PS Vita by then was still on the go, but it wasn't really favoured by by Sony. So I eventually decided I wanted to get one because I was looking at the likes of what games were on it, and I noticed Jackson Daxter, the collection, was on the PS Vita. And at the time I was like, oh wow, I love Jackson Daxter on the PlayStation 2, I want to get this on a handheld. So I went and started looking around at prices. Now, funny thing with this is, I got the PS Vita off of Gumtree. Now, if you're unaware of what Gumtree is, it's basically, you're kind of like a Facebook marketplace. You know, people can post up what they're selling, and you can either get it shipped off, or you can go meet them in person, or go to wherever. So in this instance, I bought my PS Vita in a little car park. It looked so dodgy, you know, coming out of the car like, are you selling the PS Vita, Ken? So I bought with that. The guy was selling, what was it? There was a couple of games. There was Sonic All-Stars Racing, which I bought from him. There was a Batman one, which I didn't really have any interest, so he just traded. I think he said he was just going to trade it in otherwise. And his reason for selling it is because he had all the UMD movies on his PSP. So he used to take that travel. I was like, okay, fair enough. I mean, I didn't need to know, but fair enough. So from there, I got a PS Vita, and I absolutely fell in love with the machine. It was so good. So the games as well. Let's before I start waffling on that section too long, let's talk about my time with the PS Vita. Now, my time with the PS Vita was mainly filled with, yes, you can guess it, JRPGs. I mean, I wouldn't really be talking about it otherwise because, you know, I am a JRPG content channel. So, this was the gateway to other JRPGs. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, realistically, I was kind of getting back into my JRPGs, and I was really only focused on Final Fantasy. So I started going down the path of trying out other ones, and I was looking on likes of Watch Mojo lists about what Vita games you should play, RPGs, JRPGs, and there was a good few which I got off those lists. Now, the first one I got, which was always rated number one in many places, was Persona 4 Golden. Now, Persona 4 Golden is an absolute banger. It is one of my all-time favourite JRPGs, and I would say, you know, a lot of JRPGs that I play are like up there. Persona 4 Golden is something special, absolutely something special. It's the first time where I played a game, completed it, and then thought, right, I'm going to go straight back into this and do a second playthrough with no hesitation. I've never done that with a JRPG before, or any game before with that matter. The whole world of, well, I say the world of Inaba, the village of Inaba, the story, the music as well was just drew me in. And the likes of having a totally different setting that I'd been used to with Final Fantasy, because with Persona, you know, you had that high school setting, and then you had the dungeon crawling. It was something totally brand new to me. Other notable JRPGs, well, actually, let's talk about Falcom and the PS Vita, because a lot of the games which I bought for the PS Vita were from Falcom, aka the people who brought us the Ys series and the Trails series. So with this, I got the likes of Trails of Cold Steel 1 and Trails of Cold Steel 2. Now, the good thing with this is that I had got into the system when the PS Vita had both Trails of Cold Steel 1 and 2 released, right? So imagine if you've played Trails of Cold Steel 2, Trails of Cold Steel, you'll know what I mean by the ending having a massive cliffhanger. So I was instantly like going onto CEX's website and buying the second one straight away. I just had to play. I had to play to know what was next. And the second one, the second Trails of Cold Steel, is probably one of my favourite out of the four. There's something about it I really, really like. Tokyo Xanadu, which is the action JRPG from Falcom. A lot of people thought it was like a kind of a Persona 4 kind of inspired game. Persona 4, Persona, but there's not really any much high school sort of stuff in it. It was more of, how I've seen people describe it as Trails versus Persona. What were the other titles that I had on there? The likes of World of Final Fantasy. How I slapped my desk for some reason. I didn't need to do that. I don't know if I'll pick up in the microphone. The likes of Gravity Rush. Gravity Rush is absolutely spectacular. And it's one of the few games which actually uses the, what's the terminology? Is it the gyro? Maybe? I don't know. you know the thing where you move the console about and it picks up on the screen where you're aiming the console at. That Gravity Rush is amazing. And what really stood out with this, again, I always talk about it, is the music with Gravity Rush. One of my favourite pieces of music is the theme for Old Town. I just absolutely love that song. It's just so relaxing. Another one, Odin Sphere. Now, I got this digitally, which, funny story, I say funny story with a lot of things. I had the chance to pick this up from Game Station physical, but I decided to go for No Man's Sky for some reason. Utter idiot move. And then when I went back, someone had already bought it. So I love Odin Sphere. With that game as well, it's so quick, so fast paced, and it was the first time playing a Vanillaware game. Now, Vanillaware, if you're unaware, they do absolutely spectacular artwork within their games. Just so good. The other fact as well is that this PS Vita still had the same sort of feature that the PSP had, where you could play PS1 games. So I uploaded a fair few of my PS1 games again. So Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9. But I also downloaded and played, because of this machine, all the other Final Fantasies, so from 1 to 6 as well. And that's how I play still to this day most of my old school Final Fantasies. Also, the PS Vita was the main reason that I was able to get over this barrier with Final Fantasy X. Now, if you follow the channel for a good while, you'll know, right, that I didn't like Final Fantasy X when growing up. I just had this barrier in my head that it didn't have a world map, and I can already hear Retro Brandon, friend of the channel, mocking me for using that same line again, but it's true. So yeah, I mean, it's such an important little device for me. And another little tidbit is that when the Nintendo Switch came out, right, my friend, one of my best pals, he was telling me, the Switch is going to be amazing, blah blah blah, it's so good, it'll have all these RPGs, JRPGs that you want, blah blah blah. Now at the time I was like, but I've got my PS Vita. You know what? It's like, it's kind of a weird thing. If you have a PS Vita, you know how attached you get to that. And you'll know this when I talk about the next section, which is the future of the PS Vita. But before we go on to that, yeah, the PS Vita is amazing. You know what I mean? Vita is life. So the future of the PS Vita. Well, I mentioned right at the beginning of the video that, you know what, the PS Vita in general was kind of put to rest by Sony pretty early on in its life. They kind of stopped supporting it, straight off the bat, which it really shouldn't have. So it's been down to the community, and they've been keeping that thing alive to this day. There's still stuff being done with it. I recently saw a video online, I think it was on Spawnwave's channel, where he'd mentioned that someone had ported, was it Simpsons Hit and Run onto PS Vita. There's a big homebrew community, which I never really got into myself. But you know what? Oh, I forgot a feature. It played PSP games as well. How can I forget that? Oh, man, I could go on and on and on for talking about the PS Vita, but I need to end this episode somewhere, so that'll do for now. But what I want to know is, if you've played the PS Vita, what were your thoughts about it? You know what to do, leave a comment down below. And if you like what you're hearing and seeing on this channel, well, please help me grow it by liking, sharing and subscribing. And if you want to be kept up to date with everything chicken fillets, you know what to do. Hit that notification bell. This has been John, aka Chicken Fillets, and until next time, tatty bye.